everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm collaborating with Rishi Tea to show you 3 creative ways that you can add more flavor to your breakfast using tea. We're going to be making some tea-infused jam, some fruity muesli, and some delicious coconut matcha donuts. Now, personally, I love drinking tea, but I just find it a little bit harder to drink during the summer when it's already hot outside, which is why I love these recipes because I can still enjoy the flavors of my tea without breaking a sweat. I am also so excited that Rishi Tea is sponsoring this video because 1, their turmeric ginger tea is my absolute favorite tea on this planet. If you haven't checked it out, you totally should. And 2, we're also teaming up together to run a giveaway for you guys. I'm running this giveaway on my Instagram account. I'm from my bowl on there in case you guys didn't know. I will have it linked in the description of this video so you guys can just click on it and enter really easily. But we're going to give away 3 tea kits of all the teas that I'm using in this video, plus this adorable little matcha whisk so you can get your matcha on, to 3 lucky winners who are US residents. So be sure to check that out if you want to win. Okie dokie, let's get on to the recipes.
Okay, so first we're going to make our chia seed jam. And for this recipe, I decided to use the Tangerine Ginger Rishi Tea. It also has hibiscus flowers in it. It is super sweet and flavorful. So the first thing we're going to do is brew a tea concentrate. So I put a tablespoon of the dry tea into this brewing thingy, and then I added half of a cup of hot water and I brewed it for the instructions for the tea. And you're just going to let this steep and all of the flavors will become incorporated into the water. So the next step is to add your frozen fruit into a pot. I'm using frozen raspberries. Then you're going to add your brewed tea and you're going to melt the frozen raspberries, or if you're using fresh raspberries, you can just still bring it up to heat, because once the mixture reaches a simmer and you've stirred everything around a bit with a spoon, you're going to add your chia seeds, and this is going to help thicken the jam even more. And you're just going to stir those in and continue to simmer the mixture until it reaches your desired consistency. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the jam is going to thicken more as it cools naturally, so you want the jam to be a little bit thinner than what you want it to be once it's cooled. So I stopped it at about here. I'm just showing you with a spoon now so you can see its kind of consistency. But from there, you're just going to take it off of the stove and let it cool completely. Then you can transfer it into a jar and store it in your fridge. And as you can see, it got a lot thicker once the jam had cooled completely. And you can put this on toast, you can put it on your oatmeal, or even on your muesli bowls, which is what we're going to make next. So for this recipe, I decided to use the blueberry hibiscus flavor of the Rishi Tea. This one is an herbal tea as well, but it is packed with delicious fruity flavor. So first I brought some hemp milk up to heat on the stove, and then once it started to steam, which you can kind of see here, I took it off of the stove and I poured it into a nice tea mug, or you could also use a bowl. And from there, you're just going to add your tea bag into the warm liquid and then let it brew accordingly. So while that's brewing, we're going to prepare our muesli. I'm using my favorite store-bought muesli. It's by the brand Purely Elizabeth, but I also recently posted a recipe for a homemade muesli, so I will have that written out in the description below if you guys are interested, along with the rest of all of these recipes. And then once your tea is brewed, you're just going to remove the tea bag and pour the liquid into the muesli. And just a note, you want to use equal parts liquid and muesli. So in this example, I brewed, I think, around half of a cup of tea, so I did half of a cup of muesli. But you're just going to give that a good little stir and then let it sit for a few hours or overnight in the fridge. And then the next day you can put it into a bowl with whatever toppings you want. I decided to add some freshly chopped mango, pumpkin seeds, and this recipe is so delicious and really refreshing, and I love how the tea adds an extra depth of flavor to the muesli. Okay, and then finally we're going to be making some matcha baked donuts. So for this recipe, I'm using the Rishi Everyday Matcha, which is a culinary grade matcha, which means it is perfect to use in baking and other recipes like that. So first we're going to make our chia seed egg. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of ground chia seeds into water. You're just going to stir that together, set it aside, and let it coagulate. If you have ground flax seed, you can also use that. Instead of chia seed, you'd still want 2 tablespoons of flax to 6 tablespoons of water. Then in a separate bowl, we're going to add some pitted dates, and we're going to cover these with hot water. And soaking our dates allows them to be a little bit more tender, especially if you're using dry dates or dates that aren't medjool dates. I would definitely recommend this step. And then in a third bowl, we're going to add our dry ingredients. So we're adding some oat flour, some brown rice flour, matcha powder, and some baking soda, baking powder, and a little bit of salt. So you're just going to mix all of the dry ingredients together until everything is well incorporated. And then by now our dates should be nice and soaked and tender. So we're going to drain them and add them to a food processor. And then you're just going to whiz it around until you form a nice and even date paste. Now, depending on the strength of your food processor, you may need to add a few tablespoons of water just to help speed this process along. I think I added around 2 tablespoons of water to my dates, but basically at the end, you don't want any date chunks. You want it to kind of look like applesauce, so it should be pretty smooth and creamy. Then we're going to add everything back into our dry ingredients. So first we have our chia seed egg, and then we have our blended date paste. And finally, we have some coconut butter. Now I melted the coconut butter in the microwave just for a few seconds just to make sure it was nice and silky. And guys, this coconut butter is the star of the show. It's amazing. I could even eat it plain, but donuts are good too. So let's move on with the donuts. We're also going to add some vanilla extract and some apple cider vinegar to help everything rise. And you can stir everything a little if you want, or you can just go to the next step, which would be adding a cup of plant-based milk, which is going to help everything blend together to get a nice and liquidy dough, as you can see here. So from here, you're going to fill your donut pan. I use silicone donut pans. It's really easy to pop the donuts out after they're finished baking. So this recipe makes 11 donuts in total. So I filled up almost all of my 2 donut pans, and you're going to bake those in the oven. And then once they're done, they should look something like this. Now I decided to make a frosting for my donuts. I just mixed a little bit more coconut butter with some matcha powder to make a nice, slightly green frosting for my donuts, but you could also skip this step if you didn't want to, or you could just top it with some almond butter or any other frosting that you seem to like. But overall, I would highly recommend these donuts. They are so good.
And that is it for this video. Let me know in the comments below which recipe you want to make first, and don't forget to check out my Instagram giveaway with Rishi Tea that I will have linked in the description of this video. Other than that, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and you want me to film more videos like this, like using tea, or maybe we can do some savory tea recipes. I think that would be pretty cool to see. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, whatever time of day it is for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!